In this episode of the Web Monkey, I'm going to teach you how to create your own custom page templates using custom post types and advanced custom fields. Using the IGN website as a source of inspiration, we're going to create our very own custom post type called games. We will create a custom taxonomy called genre attached to the games. We're also going to create a set of custom fields that will be attached to each game we view. We will have custom fields for the release date, publisher, developer, and price of each game that we're reviewing. We're also going to create a custom page template that will display the date each game review was published, the title, as well as the contents of the developer custom field for each game review. We'll also display the featured image as well as the excerpt for each game review. And finally, we will create a separate page template for each individual game review that will display the full contents, including the 3 custom fields as well as the full contents of each game review. So without much further ado, let's get cracking. Alrighty, so welcome to a brand new episode of the Web Monkey, and as I said in the intro video, I am going to show you how to create custom page templates using custom fields and custom post types. Now, just to give you an example of what I'm talking about, take a look at this site. This is the IGN website. It's basically a website where you can read reviews for different types of video games. And here is a review for a game called Uncharted: Drake's Fortune. Now, you can see we do have a short description over here, but below we have additional fields like the release date, the genre, the publisher, the price, developer, and so on and so forth. Now, if you wanted to create something like this with WordPress, you could technically use posts, all right? However, it's not going to be the best or the neatest way of doing stuff like this. You typically want to create a separate post type. What if on your WordPress website you had your regular blog posts, but then you also wanted to be able to create reviews for video games? It would be ideal to be able to separate your regular posts from your video game reviews, and that's why you would need to create a custom post type specifically for your video game reviews. Now, by default, WordPress comes with 2 post types, actually 3 if you count media, but the 2 major ones are pages and posts. That's what we call post types in WordPress terminology. You have your posts and then you have your pages. And you can see right now we have posts over here, we have pages, and as I said, the third one is media. But what we're going to do right now is we're going to create an additional post type called games. That is going to be our custom post type, games, all right? So what I'm going to do right now is to install a plugin which I can use to create this new post type. Now, you could use code. There are manual ways of doing this, but I very much prefer using a plugin. So I'm going to come down here to plugins. Let's add a new one. And the plugin I'm going to install is the custom post type plugin. And it is by Web Dev Studios. Very fantastic plugin. Install. Let's activate. All right, awesome. Now, the next thing will be to create the game's post types. I'm going to come down here to add/edit post types. Now, for the slug, very, very important, I'm going to add game. All right, that will be the slug, game. And then for the plural label will be games, obviously. And then the singular label will be game. Take note of the slug, by the way. Very, very, very important. We'll talk about that later. Now, from here, what I can simply do is I could scroll all the way down here if I wanted to. And you can actually change the default text for each one of these sections. You could change the labels. So, for example, your menu name could be my games, add new games, stuff like that if you want to. But I'm not going to waste any time doing any of that. Now, down here, you could choose additional fields that will support this particular post type. And you could also choose to add built-in taxonomies like categories and tags that would support this particular post type as well. However, I very much prefer to use my own custom taxonomies for my custom post types. So instead of categories, we're going to have genres. Now, just like movies, video games have different genres. You have the horror genre, you have action, you have first-person shooter, you have adventure, and so on and so forth. So we're going to create our very own custom taxonomy. So I'm not going to take categories or tags either. I'm just going to leave that blank. Let's add the post type. And now you can see we have games right over here, as you can see. So in addition to posts, pages, I now have games. And I can come over here, click on add new, and I can add a game just like I would add a regular post. But let's now create the custom taxonomy specifically for games. All right, so to do that, let's come down here to CPT UI again. Let's now add a taxonomy. All right. Now, in case you are wondering, what exactly is this taxonomy? Well, categories and tags are examples of taxonomies. A taxonomy is basically a way of grouping certain data together. So just like categories, you can also have your own custom taxonomies. So for the slug here, it is going to be the genre. All right. And for the plural label, I'm actually not sure if there's a plural for genre. Is it genre? Is it genre? I'm just gonna leave it as genre, okay? Forgive me if I'm wrong. I'll just leave that as genre. English is not my first language, by the way, so I'm trying to give out excuses. All right, so we got genre, we have genre. Now over here, we can attach this particular taxonomy to a specific post type. And as you can see right now, we have posts, pages, media, but then we have games. So I'm gonna check games, and I am going to add my taxonomy. All right, so now check this out. If I go back to games, you can see right now we have genre down there. Just like with posts, when you hover over posts, you have categories, you have tags. With games, I now have genre. So I can create my own custom genre specifically for my games post types, all right? So let's even go ahead right now and create a few genres, all right? Let's come over here right now and let's go with action. That'll be the first one. Let's add that. Let's add horror. Let's add that one. What else do we have? We have adventure. And let's see, what else do we have? We have adventure, we have horror, we have action. I'm just going to go with first person. All right. Let's add that. Cool. So now we have 4 different genres: first person, adventure, horror, action. So every time we now add a new game, we can also add a specific genre for that particular game that we're reviewing. All right, so the very next step would be to create our custom fields. And just like on the IGN website where we have release date, genre, publisher, we're going to create the exact same fields for our own games. And in order to do this, we are going to install a new plugin. All right, let's go to add new plugin. And the plugin is going to be called the Advanced Custom Fields. Oh gosh, it's so hard to like type Advanced Custom Fields. All right. It is by Elliot Condon. Again, a very fantastic plugin. So let's install it. And let's go ahead and activate the plugin. Awesome. All right, so next thing you want to do right now would be to go to Custom Fields. Let's click on Custom Fields. And now we're going to add a new group specifically for the custom fields for the games. So let's add new. And we're going to name that games. All right. Now let's go ahead now and add our very first field. And the very first field we're going to add would be the release date. All right. Release date. Now, as soon as I click on the field name, this gets filled up automatically. Now, for the field type, you do have a variety of fields you can choose from, all right? Note that with the Pro version of the Advanced Custom Fields plugin, you also have additional fields as well. But for the purposes of this particular tutorial, the free version will do. So for the release date, ideally, we should use a date picker, all right? So I'm going to click that, date picker. And you can also change the format as well if you want to. We do have the default here, which would be the year, month, and day. And you can also change the display format as well, but I'll just leave that as it is. I'm going to go ahead now and close the field. And now let's add another field again. And this time we are going to add the field for the developer. Or actually, publisher should come first. Publisher. The publisher. And the field type will be text. I think that's fine. And I'll just close the field. Let's add another one again. Developer, Click inside here. Text is fine. Once again, for developer, we don't need to change that. Let's close the field. Let's add a new field. And let's see what else do we have here. We have release date, developer, publisher, price. Yes, how much does the game cost? Price, very, very important. Now for the text in here, what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch things up a little bit. I am going to use number this time around. Okay, so let's go with number. Now, I may not have mentioned this previously, or actually I didn't, but you can also make certain fields required or not required, all right? So it really depends on you. And you can also add your placeholder text and some other things like that. But what I want to do right here is to append, or rather prepend, something to the price, because we are going to be displaying the prices in dollars, in American dollars. So rather than having to constantly put in the $ every single time we're adding a new price, we can just prepend the $ to this particular field. So what I'm going to do right now would be to add the $ over here where we have the appears before the input. All right, prepend that. And again, you can add additional values like your maximum value, your minimum value, your step size, and so on and so forth. All right, let's do that. So far so good. We have the release date, we have the publisher, we have the developer, we have the price, and I think that's fine actually. So the last thing we need to do right here would be to show this field group if this post type is equal to game. All right. So we're attaching this group of fields to the game post type. So that's game. Let's go ahead now and publish. All right, awesome. Now let's go to add a new game. All right, add new. Now take a look at this. By default, WordPress would automatically grant you certain fields that you can use with your custom post types. Those fields are the title, and you still have the white box where you can add your text. But then over here to the right, you also have the featured image. That's why I didn't spend any time creating fields specifically for them. I didn't create a field for the title or for the featured image. I don't need to do that, all right? But now take a look at this. We have the release date, which when you click inside, you can now choose a date, all right? You have your publisher, you have your developer, and then take a look at that. For the price, we do have the $ in front of it. So these are the 4 fields that we can now add every time we create a new game. Now, you may have noticed something rather strange, and that is the fact that over here to the right, where we have genre, despite the fact that we've created different types of genres, such as the adventure, action, we don't see them listed. Now, ideally, whenever you're creating a new post and you already have your categories created, you will see the list of all those categories over there, right? But we don't see the ones for our genres. So what exactly is happening here? Well, all you got to do to show all the different genres that you've created would be to come back down here to CPT UI, click on the Add Edit Taxonomies, click on Edit Taxonomies over here. Make sure that the custom taxonomy that you want to edit is selected. In this case, it's genre. And then come all the way down here to where we have settings. And then where you have hierarchical, change false to true. All right. This would allow the taxonomy to have parent-child relationships. In other words, basically, you would be able to see all the genres that you've created. So let's go ahead now and save a taxonomy. Let's go back to games, add new. And now take a look at that. Over here to the right, we now have action, we have adventure, we have first person, and we have horror. The next step right now would be to create some actual game reviews. So let's go ahead and create our very first one, which would be the review for the Arkham Knight. And I do have the page from IGN. And if you haven't played the game and you enjoy playing superhero games, then I would highly recommend you play this game. It is a pretty awesome game. Now, I'm not going to go ahead and use the text from the website itself. What I'm going to do would be to use this site called luripsum.net. And it's a site where you can grab some sample text, which you can use to create sample content, basically. So I'm just going to go ahead now and copy this text to the clipboard. Let me drag that away. Go back to add a new game. And let's go ahead and add the title, Arkham Knight Review. Let me switch this to the text mode. Let's paste. Oh, I'm sorry. I ended up pasting all the content in the title. Oh my gosh. Sorry about that. Arkham Knight. Again, review. And inside the text area, I'm going to paste all that content. Awesome. Now I'm going to select action as the genre. And I do have a featured image which I got on the internet. Here it is right here. And the size is 1920 by 1080. And the reason why I'm using images with this particular size is because I am using the WordPress 2017 theme. All right, let me just show you the front end. So you can see right now, this is the 2017 theme I'm using. I'm not using any other theme. And when you click inside the individual posts pages, you would see the full featured image, the full size. So I think 1920 by 1080 might be a little bit big for most people, but for me, it's okay. So this is typically how you would see posts using the WordPress 2017 theme, posts that have featured images of 1920 by 1080. I think this is pretty awesome. So let's go back. So I've selected my featured image. Now let's come down here now and fill out the custom fields. So I am going to use the IGN site as my reference point here. Release date was June 23rd, 2015. So let's do that. June 23rd, 2015. Now the publisher was Warner Brothers, of course. Warner Bros. The developer was Rocksteady. A very, very awesome group of developers. Rock Studios. And the price, well, we actually don't have that from IGN. Let me see if I can find it anywhere. I actually don't see it, so I'm just gonna go ahead and say $29. All right, it's a pretty old game now, so $29 should be fine. Or let's just make that $29.99. $29.99. All right, so let's go ahead now, and I am gonna go ahead and publish this. So we have our very first game review for the Arkham Knight. We have the actual review itself. We have the title, the featured image, the genre selected, and we have our 4 custom fields filled in as well. So what I'm going to do right now would be to pause the video, and I'm going to go ahead now and add 3 other game reviews. One for adventure, one for first person, and one for horror. Alright, I'm back, and as you can see, I have successfully created 3 additional game reviews. I've created one for the Uncharted 4 review, for the Resident Evil 7 review, and for the Battlefield 4 review as well. So the next step right now would be to start to display these video game reviews and their custom fields. We've created all the content from the back end. So what I want to do right now would be to create a page, and I'm going to put the link to that page on the main menu so that when people click on that link, it will take them to a page that will start to display the game reviews and their data, kind of like what we have right now on the home page, where you have the title of the post, the featured image, and then the excerpt of the post. So I want something very similar like this on the game page. So let's go ahead now and create a page that will be used to display our game reviews. So let's go ahead, create a new page, and I'm just going to go ahead now and name this page reviews. All right, let's publish that page. Let's come down here to appearance, menus, and I'm just going to add reviews. Check that in right here. Let's save the menu. Let's go back to our home page. Now we have reviews, but when we click on reviews, nothing absolutely happens. We're not seeing the game reviews. We're not seeing the images, the data, the custom fields, nothing. And the reason why this is happening is because we have not told WordPress how to display our custom post types. By default, WordPress only knows how to display media files, pages, and posts. We need to tell WordPress that, hey, we have created a custom post type called games, and we've also created game reviews. So we need to tell WordPress to do that, and how we can do this is by creating something known as a custom page template. Now, a page template is one that tells WordPress the kind of content to display and how to display that content. So just about every WordPress theme that you use would have its own templates which WordPress would use to display content. And to give you a better idea of what I'm talking about, I am going to drag my Notepad++ software over here. I have connected to my custom site, as you can see. And if you have no idea how to connect to your WordPress website via FTP, please check the links in the description box below. I do have 2 awesome tutorials that will teach you how to use Notepad++ and FileZilla to connect to your site via FTP. So I have connected. So now I am going to double click on my WP content folder. And now in here, you can see we have the plugins folder, the themes folder. That's what I'm interested in. Let's double click in there. And now you can see my 4 themes, 2015, 2016, 2017, and of course the 2017 child theme. If you don't know how to create a child theme, again, check the link in the description box below. I have an awesome, super awesome tutorial that will teach you everything you need to know about WordPress child themes. Now, currently on my site, I do have the 2017 child theme activated. As you can see, 2017 child is the one that's active. But before we go to the 2017 child, let me just open up the 2017 theme folder so I can show you some templates. We have 404.php, we have archive.php, comments.php, footer.php. All these are page templates. All right. Now, depending on the theme that you use, there might be certain templates that are unique to that theme, but in most cases, you have other templates that are standard, like your footer.php. This is what WordPress would use to display content in your footer section. You have the header.php. This is the one that WordPress would use to display content in your header section. So your logo, your main menu, and stuff like that will be displayed using these particular templates. I will make a tutorial that will focus specifically on page templates and template tags. So watch out for that one. You can click on the notification bell right now for this channel. I will upload that video in the coming days. So let me just close this too. All right, and let's jump back now to the 2017 child theme folder. All right, now I want to create a page template for our reviews post type. All right, so what I'm going to do will be to right click, create a new file, and I'm going to say page-reviews.php. All right, press enter. So now you can see we have page-reviews.php. Now for the all important code that will tell WordPress that, hey, this is a page template. We're going to open up our PHP syntax, PHP, and then on a new line, / double quotes, I'm going to say template name, : and then reviews. All right. Now, this is the all-important line that will tell WordPress to recognize this particular file as a custom page template. So let's close it up. We have our asterisk, / and then let's close our PHP syntax. Let's save this. Now, one way how you can tell whether or not you've actually successfully created a custom page template would be to go to any one of your pages and then edit that page. So let's go to reviews, click on edit. And now over here to the right, you should see a section called template. And then inside of that dropdown, you should see the name of the template that you've created. In this case, we have reviews. All right. So let me click on reviews, choose that, update the page. So now we are telling WordPress to use the reviews template to display content for this particular page. Now take a look at this. Right now, the template is virtually empty. There is nothing inside. So if I view this page, take a look at that. There is absolutely nothing showing up because its template is empty. But take a look at this. What if I said, check this out, man? Let me just save this. Refresh the page, and now look at that. Check this out, man. All right, so now you know that indeed WordPress is using this particular template to display content for our reviews page. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So right now, we need to put in the code inside of the page reviews template that will tell WordPress to display content specifically for our games. All right. So what I'm going to do right now would be to jump back to my main theme, the 2017 theme, and I'm going to steal some code. Let's go to the page.php, and I am going to grab all of this right here. Let's grab that, and then I am going to paste that in here. Let me delete the closing syntax right there. Okay, awesome. Now let's just go ahead now and save this. All right, now you can see we have some code, so let me save that. Let's go back again, let's refresh, and now take a look at that. We essentially have the same page that we had even before we had created the custom page template, and that's because right now the reviews is using this particular template. However, take a look at this. This particular section over here where you have while, have posts, the post, this is the WordPress loop. Again, the WordPress loop is another topic entirely. It's basically the most powerful function in WordPress that tells WordPress the particular post type to display and how to display contents for that particular post type. Again, remember that with WordPress you have pages and posts. Those are the two inbuilt post types that come with WordPress, and of course media. However, we want to create a special loop that will display content for our custom post type, which is the games, right? So we don't need this template right here that displays content for pages, as you can see, right? So I'm gonna delete that. Let's save this once again. Let's refresh the page. All right, fine. Just in case you're wondering, hey, how do we have the logo and how do we even have the footer section? Well, that's because we have get header and then we have get footer. So these two lines of code tell WordPress to get information for the header specifically and then for the footer specifically as well. So that's why we have the logo and then we have the footer section. Again, I will make a tutorial explaining template files in more detail. All right, so now we have to put in the code that will tell WordPress to display content for our games. So check this out. This is going to be a little bit tricky, especially if you don't have any PHP experience, but just bear with me. I think we can do this together. All right, let me create some space. Okay, here it goes. Now, just underneath where we have main, class, role, all that stuff, I am going to open up my new PHP syntax once again. Press enter. Let's use the tab. Now I am going to say args, okay, equals array, open up the bracket. Let's now say post type. And now this is going to be equal to reviews. Actually, let's double check this, okay? Because what you put in here is going to be very, very important. And to confirm this, let's go back to our back end. Let's go to the CPT UI, edit post types, go to edit post types. Okay, so take a look at this. It's actually game. The post type slug is game, not review. You see, I'm actually confusing myself over here. Okay, game, not reviews. Game, game, game. All right, that's fine. Game. All right, let's close this. Semicolon. All right. Now, I know if you don't have any PHP experience, you might be wondering what the hell is going on right now. We have just created a loop. Well, we haven't actually finished, but we are starting to create a loop that will tell WordPress to display content specifically for our custom post type known as game. All right. So next up right now would be to say the query would be equal to new WP underscore query, and then inside args. All right. Now, again, if you have PHP experience, then you already have an idea of what's happening. If you don't, if you are a non-techie, you're someone who doesn't have any programming experience, all I would advise you to do is just to understand what's happening, and then you can simply copy and paste the code over and over again. Okay, you don't have to understand every single technical detail. Just know what the code is used for, and then know what necessary things you might need to change depending on your own website. All right, so the new query calls new WP query args. Let's close this. All right, so now what we're going to do would be to create the actual loop itself. We have told WordPress that, hey, okay, we want this particular template to display the content for the custom post type known as game, but now we have to create the actual loop itself. All right, so what I'm going to do right now would be to copy a line of code over here, and I'm going to paste that right here. This is the code telling WordPress that, hey, if you have content for the game post types, and while you have content for the game post type, now display the content for your game post types. All right, so now we have to tell WordPress the kinds of information to display, whether it's the title of our game reviews, the content, the featured images, and so on and so forth. And this is where template tags are going to come into play. Template tags are built-in functions that display a very specific kind of information. So right now, thanks to this particular line of code, WordPress is currently looping through all our game reviews. So now we're going to say display the titles of the game reviews. So let's do this. Let's open up a new PHP syntax, PHP, and now let's use the very first template tag, which is going to be the title, brackets, semicolon. Let's close this. Let's also close the loop as well. Very, very important. So PHP and while, semicolon. It's always very, very important to close every single loop that you open up. So that's what we're doing right now, because if you don't, you're going to crash the website. So let's now save this. Let's go back to our website, go back to the reviews page, and presto, take a look at that. We now have the 4 titles of our game reviews, because once again, WordPress is currently running through all our game reviews, and now we've told WordPress to display the title for each one of these reviews, and that's why you can now see the titles. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So let's begin to customize how we display our information. I'm actually going to make this an H2. All right, let's make this an H2. Make that an H2. Let's save this. Let's go back in here and see how this looks like. Take a look at that. These are now all H2s. Awesome. Let's now display the featured images. So to do that, I am going to open up another template tag. This time, it's going to be the post underscore thumbnail, brackets, semicolon. Let's close this. Let's save. Let's go back. Let's refresh. And there you go. Now we have the featured images for our reviews showing up as well. Let's even do one more. Let's now display the excerpts for each one of our game reviews. Again, we have yet another template tag for that. The underscore, you guessed it, the excerpt, semicolon. Let's save this again. Let's go back. Let's refresh. Boom. And now we have the reviews, or rather the excerpts, showing up as well. And of course, if you click on continue reading, this will now take you, or whoever clicks on the link, to the full post page for that particular game review. Awesome, awesome, awesome. So we now have our reviews page essentially looking like the home page, where we have the post this time around. But there are some slight differences. Let's see what we have. Okay, we have the date showing up just above the title, and the title is also clickable as well, as you can see. So let's try to change those two. So first things first, let's add the date that's above the title. So I'm going to jump in here, and I'm going to add a new template tag, PHP. Now you might be tempted to say, oh, the date should work, and it will work to a certain extent. Let's try this. Let's save that. Let's refresh. Let's go to our reviews page. Okay, so now we have the date right here, as you can see, July 1st, 2017. However, we don't have the date for the Resident Evil 7, we don't have the date for Uncharted 4, and we do not have the date for Arkham Knight either. And the reason why this is happening is because I created all these 4 posts on the same day. Now, when you use the template tag for the date, this one, it will only display the date once if all the posts were published on that very same day. All right. So to change this to display the date regardless of when the posts were created or published, I am going to change this to the time. All right. And now inside here, I am going to add some code specifically that will format the dates in the order of the month, the day, and the year. So that's going to be F, J, comma, and now Y. All right, let's save this. Let's refresh the page. And now you can see we have July 1st, 2017, July 1st, 2017, July 1st, 2017, and of course, July 1st, 2017. So there you go. We have successfully created our reviews page with the date, with the title, with the featured image, and with the excerpt. And of course, I forgot the links. The titles are still not clickable, so we have to fix that. So let's quickly fix that one as well. Now, to make the titles clickable, we're going to have to add some extra code in there. So what I'm going to do right now would be to say, after the H2, I am going to go ahead and say href equals. I know this can be confusing if you don't have any PHP experience, but please, once again, just bear with me. The permalink. Okay, brackets, semicolon. Let's close this. And let's see what we have over here. We gotta add this one as well. Okay, the title. I think this should be good. Gotta close the A tag here as well. Okay, I think this should be good. This should be good. Let me just go through that once again. ahref equals this. PHP. The permalink. All right, yeah, I think this should be fine. We should be good to go. All right, awesome. So basically what's happening over here is that we have created a clickable link for our titles using the function the permalink. The permalink is basically telling WordPress that, hey, this particular link right here, make it clickable so that when people click on that link, it will take them to the full post page for that particular post type. All right, so let's save this. Let's refresh the page. And now if I click on the link, it takes us now to the full post page for our game review. As you can see, awesome. So we have successfully created the full page template for our reviews page. However, we still haven't displayed any of the custom fields. Remember that for each one of our games reviews, we have 4 custom fields. We have ones for the release date, for the publisher, for the developer, and then the price. So in the very next section, we are now going to cover how to display the custom fields. Alrighty, so welcome back to what is essentially part 2 of this tutorial on how to create a custom page template using custom post types and custom fields in WordPress. And in the very first part, we successfully created a custom post type of games. We created a custom taxonomy of genre. We were also able to create 4 custom fields for each of our game reviews. And we also created a page template, a custom page template specifically for the reviews page that will display the title, the date the game review was published, the excerpt, as well as the featured image of each of our 4 game reviews. However, we still haven't been able to display any of our custom fields. And remember that each game review has 4 custom fields. We have the release date, we have the publisher, the developer, as well as the price. So what we're going to do right now would be to display one of these custom fields. We're going to display the publisher of each one of the game reviews. And to do that, we're going to bring in, of course, our notepad file over here. we have the reviews template over here. So we have to figure out a way how we can add a code that will display the custom field of the developer. And let me introduce you to this particular website. This is the website for the Advanced Custom Fields plugin. Very, very fantastic website with lots of documentation. I will put the link in the description box below. But what we're trying to do right now is to display the custom field of developer. And if we go back to our custom fields, let's take a look. Developer is a text field. So if I go to the Advanced Custom Fields website, take a look at the documentation. Let's see, we have the field types over here. We have text. All right, I'm going to click on text right here. Now over here, we can see how to display the values of our text fields. And this is the code right here. So all I'm going to do is to copy this. Let's copy that. Let's go back to our template. Let me drag that over here. Now let's display the developer just beneath the date, or rather just below the title. Let's display below the title. All right, so let's do that. I'm going to display it right here. And let's make it an H4. We don't need to make it big, just an H4 tag. H4. Now in here, you can see we have text in quotes. This should actually be the name of the field. All right, so let's go back and see how we named this field. The field name here is developer. So what we're going to do right now is to go back to our template. Let's change text to developer. Developer. Let's save this. Now let's go back to our game reviews page. And now you can see we have DICE. As the developer of Battlefield 4, we have Capcom for Resident Evil 7, we have Naughty Dog Software for Uncharted 4, and of course we have Rocksteady Studios for Arkham Knight. So we have successfully been able to display our very first custom field of developer for each one of our game reviews. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Now I know that there are certain things you can clean up over here. For example, there is a lot of space between the title of the game review and the developer field. There's a lot of margin in between these two, so that can be cleaned up using some CSS if you wanted to. However, we can actually go ahead and even customize the way the developer field actually looks like. So let me give you an example. I can say, add some text right here and say developer, and then dash, and then the name of the developer. We could even make the developer field itself appear in an italic format. So we can say EM, and then at the end right here, /EM. All right, so let's see how this is going to look like. Let's save this. Let's now go back in here, refresh the page. And there you go. We now have developer, and then the name of the developer in italic format. You can see how that now looks. So feel free to customize the way your content appears. It's really up to you. So awesome. Now, we still haven't done one major thing, and that is to create a custom template for our individual game reviews. We have the main page for reviews where we have just an excerpt of each game review. But if we click on continue reading or the title of the game review, it's going to bring us to this page, the actual individual page for that game review, where you can read the review in full length. The question you might have right now is, what template is WordPress using to display the contents for our individual game reviews? Well, the answer is because we haven't yet created a custom template specifically for our single game reviews, WordPress will automatically use the same template that it uses for displaying our regular blog posts. So let's take a look at this. I'm going to go to one of our blog posts. All right. So you can see it's the same format. We have the full image of the full size of the featured image, the date it was published, the author, the title of the post, and then the full length of the post, and of course the sidebar to the right as well. And you can see we also have the comment section, and of course the previous and next post links as well. Let's take a look at this. Let's go back to our notepad file. I'm going to open up 2017 theme folder. Now the template you're interested in right here is known as the single.php template. That is the template WordPress uses for displaying contents of the individual blog posts. So let's open up single.php. So let's take a look. Let's say I type in something like this is a test to see if WordPress is indeed using this particular template for our posts. Let's save this. Now let's go back, let's refresh. And now you can see we have this is a test for our blog posts. However, if I went to my reviews and let's take a look at an individual review, you can see we have this is a test appearing there as well. Let's go back. Let's try another one. Let's try the one for Uncharted. Down here again, you can see this is a test. So we've successfully proven that indeed WordPress is using single.php to display contents for our individual game reviews. But we don't want that. We want something else. So here's what we're going to do. Okay, I'm going to delete this. This is a test. Let's save this. What I'm going to do right now will be to go back to the 2017 child theme folder. Let's now create our template, and it's going to be single dash game. Remember, game is the slug for our custom post type, and then .php. This is how you would create the files for your individual single post types. You have single and then dash and then the name of the slug you use for creating that custom post type and then .php. Okay, let's open it up. It's empty. So if I now refresh our game reviews, now you can see it is empty because WordPress is indeed using this particular template. Pretty awesome, right? So now let's expand this and begin to now add the code which we're going to use to display the full contents of our individual game reviews. Welcome back from the tutorial, and I really hope that you're enjoying what you're watching. And if you feel like you're actually learning something from what you're watching, why not consider enrolling in my WordPress development and customization course? This is a course designed to teach you how to become a WordPress developer. You will learn how to customize existing WordPress themes. You will learn how the WordPress loop truly works behind the scenes. You will learn about the WordPress template tags. You will learn how to create your own custom sidebars, create your own custom page templates, and even learn how to write your custom WordPress functions. By the end of the course, you will have gained enough skills to become a legit bona fide WordPress developer. The course comes with a 30-day back money guarantee. Be sure to check the links in the description box. You can enroll in the course today for just $15, but keep in mind that the coupon code you find is only available to the very first 100 students who sign up using the link. So if you're interested in learning more about WordPress, I highly suggest you enroll in the course today. The reviews for the course have been amazing, and it is one of my very best courses that I've ever produced. So I hope you consider enrolling in the course today. Now let's get back to the tutorial. Alright, so welcome back, and it is time to get our single-game.php template file rolling. So let's bring over Notepad over here. And the first thing I'm going to do right now would be to copy everything that we have inside of the single.php template file for our parent theme. All right, so I'm just going to dump that inside of our single-game.php file. Let's paste that. Let's save. And now we should be able to see some content for our individual game reviews. And awesome. Okay, so right now, pretty much WordPress is displaying the contents for our individual game reviews in pretty much the same way it will display the content for our individual blog posts. So now we can begin to modify our custom template. We don't need our single.php anymore. But before I close this, let's just take a quick look at the code that we actually have inside of this template file. So first things first, we have our HTML right here. We have the main loop over here as well. But now over here, you will see a function called the getTemplatePath function. This is a very, very common function in WordPress themes. And what this means is this particular template, the single.php template file, is calling the contents of another template file. That's what getTemplatePath means. It's saying, okay, at this point, go and look for the code for another template file. And how do we know that template file? You will see the directory inside of the brackets. We have template paths. This means that the very first directory we're looking for, the very first folder we're looking for is a folder known as template parts. Keep in mind that this is a single.php for our parent theme. So let's come over here to 2017. Let's open that. So from here, we're looking for a folder known as template parts. We have template parts over here. Let's open that. Inside of template parts, we're looking for what? We're looking for a folder known as post. We have post over here. And now the very final name you see here, which is content, would represent the actual file name itself. So we're looking for a file known as content.php. And now we have that over here as well. So when I open content.php, this is all the code that is being called by this function of get template part. So it's kind of a neater way of presenting your code. That's why the function is typically used. You could decide not to use this function and just simply paste all this code that you have in here, all this code right here, starting from this point right here if you want to. So we're not going to use this function, but we're not going to use that. We don't need to use it. So let me just go back to the single-game.php template file. Let's remove it. We don't need the function at all. We have the function over here for the comments, so we can keep that as well. And then, of course, we also have the post navigation function. So let's keep this too. But now in here, inside this block of code, inside this empty space, we're going to paste all the code now for displaying the actual contents and custom field contents of our individual game reviews. So what I'm going to do is to go back to the page reviews that we created, and I am going to copy this entire block right here, starting from the time function down to the excerpt. So let's copy all of this. Let's now go back to single-game.php. Let's paste that code in here. And this is where you might have some trouble if you don't have any experience with PHP. It is very important that you close your PHP tags properly. Right now, you can see that our H2 and our H4 has this sort of purple color as opposed to the blue color of the opening tags. This means that there is something wrong. We haven't closed one of our PHP tags properly. So let's see. Let me first of all indent this properly. Let's close out the empty space in here. All right. So you can see what the problem is. We have an opening PHP tag right here. And then immediately down here, we all have another opening PHP tag. That's the problem. So we need to close this one first of all. So let's do that. Let's close that. Awesome. Okay, we've closed this properly. Now you can see the H2, the H4, their opening and closing tags are now back to blue, which means that the code up until this point is good. However, take a look at the comments here. This is all in black now. So which means we have another problem. We need to open up a new PHP template tag. So I'm going to do that over here. PHP, and everything is back to normal. I know this can be a bit confusing, again, especially if you don't have any experience coding. Feel free to rewatch the last minute or so as many times as you want. You can also try reaching out to me, ask me questions in the comment section if you have any questions about what we just did. But basically, the most important thing is to remember that whenever you're opening a PHP tag, make sure that tag is closed before you open up another PHP tag. And you cannot have HTML tags inside of a PHP tag. That's not going to work, okay? Just keep those in mind. All right, so we've modified the code for our single-game.php. Let's save this. And now let's go back and let's refresh. See what we have. Okay, not bad. So right now, obviously, our code is now working. We still have our excerpt, which shouldn't be because this is the actual full post page for the individual game reviews. So let's change this right here, the excerpt. Let's change that to a new tag called the content. So this is the tag for actually displaying all the content as opposed to displaying only the excerpt. So let's save this. Let's go back in here. Let's refresh. And voila, we now have the full contents of our individual game reviews showing up. Let's try another one and see. Let's try Uncharted. Let's see, Uncharted. And awesome. However, we still have some issues. We have the main featured image right here, and then we have another featured image showing up here in here as well. We don't need that. And we also need to display the remaining custom fields, which we haven't displayed yet. So let's first of all remove this featured image that's inside of the content area. We don't need that. That is going to be, of course, the post thumbnail. Okay, let's remove that. Let's save this. Let's refresh the page once again. And awesome. So now we no longer have the featured image displaying in here anymore. Now you might be wondering, okay, wait a minute. Where is this main featured image coming from then if we don't have the featured image being displayed anymore inside of our single-game.php template? That's a very good question. Keep in mind that up here we have something called getHeader. This is a function calling the header.php file. And inside of that header.php file, there is a function over there that's actually calling the featured image of the individual blog post or the individual custom post. So that's the reason why we now have the full featured image showing up in here. So let's go back and let's now begin to add the remaining custom fields which we haven't added yet. And the very first one we're going to add would be the publisher field. So just below developer, let's actually just copy all of this. I'm going to copy this entire line. Let's copy that. Jump to the next line. Let's paste that. So we now have developer, but we can also say published by, and then inside of the field we have the publisher field. So let's do that. Publisher. Okay. And I'm going to copy all of this again. Jump to the next line. Let's paste that. The next one is going to be the date of release. All right. Date of release. What I'm going to do right here would be to go back to the website for the advanced custom fields. And let's see how to display content for our dates, for our date field. So we have the date picker down here. Let's click in there. And let's see how to display the dates. Okay, so it's pretty much the same way as displaying contents for our text field. You just simply have the field, and then inside you have the name of the actual field itself. But you do have an advanced ways of displaying your dates as well. Feel free to take a look at the samples of code that we have in here. So it's pretty much nothing much to it. Let's just go back in here. Let's change the field from publisher to, I believe it was date _ release. That's the actual name of the date field that we created. Okay, this looks good. Let's save this. Let's go back in here. Let's refresh the page. And voila, there you go. But take a look at this. So we have published by Sony, okay, but date of release is not displaying the actual date itself. So what's happening in here? Let's go back to our template file. Date of release, the field date _ release. You know what? Let's make sure that this is the actual name of the custom field. Let's go back. I may have goofed on that one. Custom fields, games. Well, what do you know? It's actually release _ date, not date _ release. Oh my gosh, this is so embarrassing. I apologize for that. Let's go back. Change this to release _ date. Come on. Okay, let's save this. And now let's go back to our reviews. Battlefield 4. And voila, so we now have our date of release displaying 2017, 11th, which is November, and then 12th, which is the 12th of November 2017. Now, obviously, this is not a great way of displaying the date, so we need to make some modifications. So let's go back to the documentation and see what else we have in here. All right, so right now you can see that the return format is basically the year, the month, and then the day. So we need to figure out a way how we can actually modify this output. It's not very neat. Thankfully, down here under advanced, we do have an example of how we can get the raw value, which is what we currently have, and then convert it to a numeric value to then modify it further. So in here right now, we have a sample of an event start date. The custom field of date is gotten, and then it's formatted over here as well. So what we can simply do right now would be to copy everything in here. First of all, let's just copy that. Go back to our single-game.php. And now let's remove the date of release. We don't need that now. Let's create some space. Let's paste the new code in here. Let me first of all indent this properly. All right, so basically for you, if you don't have any PHP experience or any programming experience, what's basically happening here is that we've created a new variable called date right here, which will now contain the actual value of our custom field of release underscore date. So we need to change this date here to release underscore date. Okay, we change that. And now basically this variable is being made an object. And now over here, it's where it's been formatted to look the way we want it to look like. Now, again, I know that this could be a very steep learning curve, especially if you don't have any programming experience. So I sympathize with you if you don't know what PHP is all about, or what objects are, or what variables are. But it is best that you maybe watch another video, try to understand what variables are and how they work. But if you have PHP experience, then I'm pretty sure this will be a walk in the park for you. So let's just change what we need to change. Let's change the P here to an H4. Close this one out here as well to an H4. And then event start date, let's change that to date of release. All right, let's add the dash in there. So we don't need any end dates or this modification to increase the date by 1. Let's remove that. Date of release. And I think we're good to go. Let's save this. Now let's go back to our game review, refresh. And there you go. Date of release, 12th of November 2017. Let's try another game review. We have Resident Evil 7. We have 24th of January 2017. Let's try Uncharted. We have 10th of May 2016. And last but not least, we have the Arkham Knight, which is 23rd of June 2015. And with that, we have come to the end of this tutorial. We have built out our custom page template with all our custom fields. However, I do know that we still have one more field, which is the price. We haven't yet displayed the price for each one of the game reviews, but guess what? You are going to do that all by yourself. So let that be the little exercise or the little assignment attached to this tutorial. Try to figure out a way how to display the price, and you can display the price in any location. It could be above the title, below the publisher, custom field, wherever you want to display it. Now, if you go to the documentation, there isn't actually any documentation on how to display the values of a number field, but I'll give you a hint. It's pretty much the same way how you would display the contents of a text field, so it's not really complicated that much. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching the video. We have successfully built out our custom page templates for the reviews page and also for the individual game review pages as well. We've created different custom fields. We created the game custom post type as well, and we talked about the WordPress loop, we talked about template tags and much more. So I really hope that you've learned at least one or two new things about WordPress with this tutorial. Be sure to check out the course that I've told you about. It's an excellent course. If you really want to learn more about WordPress development and become a bona fide WordPress developer, I highly recommend that you check out the course. The course, of course, comes with a 30-day back money guarantee, so you have nothing to lose. So that's it. Thank you so much for watching the video. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this video. Likes really help this channel, subscribe if you haven't subscribed, but also be sure to hit that notification bell so that you get notified whenever I publish a new tutorial. My name is Alex. It's been a pleasure taking you through this course. Thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye bye.